take our word for it. They were as bad as they could possibly be. They were appallingly bad. And they looked without thought and hope and imagination, and they just looked lost for a long period of the game yesterday, particularly after half-time. Does he need to reinvent the way he coaches, particularly the way he coaches his side at Subiaco?
I think as a coach he needs to certainly start to think about scoring more, because you just turn your fans off if you're only kicking, what did they kick, 5 goals?
6, yeah.
5, yeah.
Perfect conditions, they only kick 5 goals, supporters are going to walk away, and I say this all the time, if you lose it's one thing, but when you lose and you give your supporters nothing to get excited about, well, everybody soon starts to get pretty down and out. Look, I've looked at Fremantle pretty closely, and they've certainly got their worries. Last year, their 2 leading goal kickers were Kepler, Bradley and Main, and they kicked 25 goals each. Now, that's lousy. Now, this year, it's no better. So, he's got to improve the forward structure. You look at the forward line, and Pavlich has been played in the forward setup. Look, he's getting towards the end of his career. He's still a really good player. But the biggest problem the Dockers have got is their midfield, and their midfield is slow, and their midfield players, and I'll mention them, players like Mundy, who has been a good player, but he hasn't played well for a couple of years. He's not hard off the boot. And what I'm talking when I say hard off the boot, sharp off the boot, really punch a kick. And Mundy doesn't do that. Barlow's a very ordinary kick. Now, as courageous as he is, Mazunga kicks them anywhere. They've been trying Ballantyne as a midfielder this year. Give it away, because he's only a forward pocket specialist, and they need someone who can kick some goals up there. And Crowley's pretty much a defensive tagger. Hill's their best midfielder. He's getting tagged every week and struggling with the tag. And their other 2 midfielders who can play pretty well are Fife, who's going to miss most of the year, and Morabito, who hasn't played as yet. I reckon, whilst we're looking at their forward line and saying it's not functioning, the midfield is their bigger problem. And I had a read of the paper, Andy. It said that Fremantle went into their forward 50 7 times in the second half. That'd be an all-time low for any club anywhere.
34 times more West Coast went in yesterday.
You know him better than I do. Is he the type of bloke, Wallsy, to get something in this game, you've got to give up something. So if you want to be more attacking, you've got to give up some of the defensive side of the game. Is he somebody that would be prepared to make those sorts of changes? Or is he so strong and solid in his own self-belief about the game, the way that it should be played, that he won't make that concession?
I think eventually he'll have to. I think his number one premise is defence, and or not just with your back line, but all over the field. Players being defensive and being able to be accountable for an opponent, run hard to cover, that sort of thing. But I agree with you, Tim. In order to be able to kick a score, you've got to play with a bit more dash and flair, and not be as defensively minded, and be prepared to run forward of the play. I think particularly on that ground over there, on that big spacious Subiaco ground, you've got to be prepared to do that. Having said that, the last 7 times that St Kilda went over to Subiaco to play, they won. So under his coaching, the 7 trips that they had to Subiaco, they actually
Does
won.
it just underline that the talent that he had at his disposal at St Kilda that perhaps he doesn't have at Fremantle?
Oh, I don't think he's got the talent at Fremantle that he had at St Kilda. But, and that's why, they have to recruit for some speed through the middle more than anything else.
They need a target. I think we all agree they need someone they can fire the footy at. But the way they play their footy, why would Travis Cloke even for a second entertain going to Fremantle?
The only reason he'd entertain going to Fremantle is for an extra $200,000 a year, spread over 5 years. Say it's $1 million all up. So I would say Collingwood offer would be around $800,000. Fremantle will be $1 million. So would it be worthwhile having that extra $200,000 to move west? I think not.
No,
There's nothing to encourage him over there, is there?
No, I agree. I mean, we said this a couple of weeks ago about the fact that the other thing about it is playing on that side of the country is that you've got to fly every second week, and I reckon that takes its toll over a period of time as well. I just can't see him going anywhere. In fact, on that, I hear that Collingwood still haven't pitched their best offer to Travis Cloke.